Well, good afternoon, everyone. I see it is just now at the noon hour. Thank you for attending today's program, The Power of AI in Architecture. I'm Jeff Gill, Executive Director for AIA Orange County. We will serve as the provider. You can see our number is there, the course number. And by attending today, you will receive one AIA learning unit. And then we are also required by AIA to let you know today's date, November 12th. And then we move on to the next requirement, the course description. This event explores how artificial intelligence, AI, is transforming the architecture industry. Gain insights on leveraging AI as a powerful business tool to enhance your workflow, optimize designs, and gain a competitive edge. I'll let you read the learning objectives. I know that you've already seen those when you were registering. I'll give you a little bit here. And then credits earned on completion. We have 10 days to report. We will get to those as soon as possible. But don't worry, if you're looking over the next 10 days, you don't see them there yet. They will get done. Certificates of completion are available, but please do reach out to Marilee Edgar, and her email is included on this page so that you can go ahead and get that certificate. And please also make sure to use your first and last name as you were called out on the screen. It's really the only way we can record your units, and we want to make sure that you receive those. So at this point, I would like to turn the program over to Allied member Isabel Thiessen with Right Click. And Isabel, I'll let you go from here. I'll stop my share.
Thanks for the introduction, Jeff, and thanks, Marilee, for helping put on today. On my screen, my presentation should be up. Let me know if you cannot see it. We want this to be a collaborative event today, so please feel free to drop any questions in the chat, come off of mute. And with that being said, let's talk about a little bit who Right Click is and who will be speaking today. So we've been around for 27 years. Right Click started operations in 1997. We're headquartered in Orange County, specifically in Irvine. We consider ourselves the AEC expert of Orange County. We have quite a bit of clients in the architecture, engineering, and construction space. We service around 260 clients, and we're a team of 60 that is continuously growing. And today with me, I have some of my wonderful coworkers. We have Jim Harrington and Beju Mehta, who are both co-CEOs, and they'll be speaking. Beju will be speaking a little bit about what our current customers are using in regards to AI, and Jim will talk a little bit about cybersecurity specifics in the architecture industry. And then Monica will be helping Beju with the co-pilot presentation. And finally, we have our in-house AI resident expert, Connor, who will be demoing other AI solutions, so outside of Copilot. And I have 3 other slides before I turn it over. So today, as we mentioned, we'll be talking about a couple of AI tools, Copilot amongst others, specifics to the architecture, cybersecurity, infrastructure issues, and then we'll be giving you some solutions, and we do want to have this be collaborative, so feel free to chime in the chat, like I mentioned. So these are some industry-specific threats. We see a lot of patch management for architecture softwares that sometimes there's breaches, malware. We need to help you secure those industry-specific softwares. So that is a threat we see a lot. This presentation will be sent after the recording to everyone who attends. You have this for your reference. And then this checklist here is just kind of a good rule of thumb for things we see in the industry. So just to keep in mind to be proactive about your cybersecurity. These are the things you want to look for. So before I pivot off to our other 2 speakers, Monica and Beju, does anyone have any questions in regards to industry specifics for architecture cybersecurity? If not, like I mentioned, we'll be doing 2 parts to this talk, Copilot and then other AI solutions. So with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Beju, our co-CEO.
Hi, everyone. Let me just get my screen shared over here. All right. So one of the things we've seen a lot of is, obviously ChatGPT has really transformed a lot of how everybody's working nowadays. Most of our customers that are in the AEC space are on the Microsoft platform. And so Microsoft's AI or generative AI is Microsoft Copilot. And so one thing Monica and I will kind of demo is some of the new and exciting features that Copilot has to offer to you guys. And but just kind of a little background on the generative AI. You know, ChatGPT got to 100 million users in 3 months. Sorry, let me change my status here to busy. And so it's been a really incredible ascension to 100 million users. One thing we've noticed with Copilot, Monica and I have done quite a few demos on it to users to train them, and the capabilities and features that it's coming up with are pretty incredible. I know if some of you are on the Google Workspace platform, they do have Gemini there, which has very similar features, but kind of the main features we'll be showing you is how to leverage Copilot within Teams, you know, and then also within Word, PowerPoint, and Outlook. Those are all good places that it works quite well in. But here's just kind of some slides from Microsoft about, you know, their Copilot and the generative AI stuff that's coming. You know, right now the big buzz is AI. It previously was cloud. So what we're seeing is a lot of our AEC customers, you know, they move their email to the cloud, and they're in the process of moving their files to the cloud. And so the next thing is, how do they leverage AI to better take advantage of things? So I'm going to kind of go a little bit fast, but the places where we find Copilot to be most effective are in these 5 these 5 groups: sales, marketing, finance, HR, and customer service. What we've found is that there's very easy ways to leverage AI in these groups. I'll kind of quickly go through, because I don't want to show you PowerPoint slides. I want to show it to you in action. But on the sales side, creating PowerPoint presentations, I think one thing you'll see here with Teams is really be engaged in meetings and not having to be busy taking notes and stuff like that. Also, summarizing documents and meetings is a really good one. Marketing, one thing we use it a lot for is generating, you know, email newsletters or ads to post on the web. So I think it's very good at that. Also PowerPoint presentations, and I'll show you some demos of that. I think on the Excel part, it's probably the weakest. It's still coming. If you're very good at Excel, it's not quite there yet, but it's definitely helps you. You know, you can just ask it to do things. I'll show you one quick video in a bit about what it can do in Excel. HR, I think this is a really good use case for it, because it can, you know, one thing I'll show you is draft job descriptions, draft interview questions, especially if you are an HR person and you're trying to hire, you know, like a structural engineer or a very technical position. You can ask Copilot to draft you questions as well as, you know, answers that you would expect. So anyways, but I think that's a really good one. And then lastly, customer service. Monica will show you some of the searching features that AI can give you. And, you know, number one, also it allows, you know, people that, you know, maybe it's not the best worded email. AI can help clean up your email. And the nice thing about the Copilot is it's integrated in all the Microsoft products, so that, you know, you can see my button up here, that it's not like you have to go to ChatGPT and then cut and paste to another program. So kind of what on this Copilot side of things is like, you know, you're kind of on the left, we're trying to move you more to the right. But there are some definite great time-saving features that we're going to show you. And so I'm going to turn it over to Monica to kind of go through some of the team stuff. She's going to pass it back to me, and then I'll go through some of the Microsoft applications, and then I will send it to Connor. So yes. Go ahead, Monica.
Perfect. Thank you very much. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Ready for meeting with us. I'm excited to show you some of the fun features that Copilot and AI are used by us. And we, as Beju had mentioned, we've trained numerous clients on this, and I'm just excited to share that with the rest of the people that are attending this conference right now. So that's great. So Copilot is very useful for me in Teams. I use it as a personal assistant, and I'm going to go through and kind of highlight the most important parts that Copilot can be used in your Teams app. So number one is I navigate to the Copilot feature right here at the top of my chat. And let me do that quick. And when you click this, you're going to get this kind of home page. And in here, you can ask it different questions. I will ask it to update me on chats. I will ask it to help write emails to me. I will also ask Copilot to pull relevant information based on the client, and I'll show you all three. On the right-hand side, there is a history of all the questions I've been asking Copilot. I like that it keeps this information housed so I can quickly go to it if I've been working on it, like 3 weeks ago, and now I'm ready to revisit it. I have full access to it. So here's an example where I've been gone for the day, and now I want to catch up on the various chats. So I have kind of a history here where I've asked it, catch me up on chats that I've been mentioned in today. And it nicely pulls 3 chats that somebody's asking me a question. It also references which chat this I was mentioned in. I can click in here and go quickly into that chat and reply back. So the nice thing about Copilot is when it references things in Teams, it will reference where it pulled it and save you time by clicking in and going straight to that area. And I'll show you that again in a few other features. I also asked it, are these all the chats that I was mentioned in today? And it said yes. Next question is, what chats do I need to reply to? So maybe I'm in a group, I wasn't mentioned, but there's some open-ended questions. And it pulled up about 6 different chats from 6 different clients of ours that other teammates have asked. And maybe I can shed some light. If I can help answer these questions, I will. But now I don't have to scroll through all these messages. It's just kind of pulling the relevant information in here. I can click here and get into that chat and update my team members.
I think
So
one thing
is,
to, sorry,
yes.
Monica, one thing just to mention is that it's Copilot is kind of integrated into, your chat, your emails, if you guys are using SharePoint or OneDrive, it's integrated into there. So Monica can ask these same questions about her emails as well. So it's a nice way to quickly sort through, the flood of emails that you probably all get every day.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I was going to actually go to that one next. So this is just catch me up on daily posts. If I am prepping for a client, I will ask Copilot to help on that. So I'll give you kind of a reference here. Sorry, let me go up. There we go. So on May 9th, I asked Copilot some questions about one of our clients, and I wanted it to organize my emails, chats, and files. One thing that I want to make sure I explain is it's only going to pull the information that I'm part of. So if I'm in that chat, or I have access to those files, or it's my emails, that's the information it's going to gather. If I do not have access to files, or chats I'm not part of, it won't pull that information for me. So what it did is it nicely bullet point summary 2 emails. It also gave me 2 chats as well as some files. Again, if you notice, it does do a reference, and down here are all the different references that I can click into and get into that bullet point. So if there's an email that I found that was relevant to my meeting and I want to kind of dig a little deeper, I would just go into that number 1, click it, and it would send me straight into Outlook, right into that exact email that I found important. Again, that's a huge time saver. I don't have to go into my Outlook and search. It's kind of gathering that information and pulling it in here. Same thing with chats. I showed you before. It gives me some chats and some references. It does pull some files. It noticed that I authored a report. It gathers that report. I can click in there and get to that report if I need to. A nice feature is because I have access to what my teammates are doing for this client, I can see that my accounting department has been working on some files. I can see that there's about 8 files that they're working on. To me, this will indicate maybe they need my help. Should I ask them a question, letting them know that I'm meeting with this client? Can I help gather information, or is this just, your month-end stuff? But this, again, is a nice way to collaborate with my teammates. I can see what they've been working on. I can get into those files if I need to, and I can quickly ask them if I need to assist them with the client when I meet with the client in a few weeks. So those are kind of some highlights with Copilot and just Teams and chat. I was also going to go over Copilot and meetings. One thing that Copilot is very useful is for meetings that have been recorded or transcribed. I can go back to those at some point and reference it and then use Copilot to help me. So I'm going to go into a meeting real quick. So I'm in last week, and I know that I was part of this meeting, and it was recorded and transcribed. So now I'm going to go ahead and click this recap button that I have here. And this will allow me to use Copilot to do whatever I need to do in this meeting, whether it's catch up, maybe I missed it, maybe I want Copilot to help me come up with some agenda items for next week. Right here on the top right-hand side, I can click my Copilot button, and right in here, I can start asking it some questions. So I can say, generate meeting notes. And it's pretty much going to go through this transcription that's right in here. Get that for you. And it's going to pull up some key topics. Being a little bit slow here to get my transcript. So what it's doing is telling me what my key topics are. It will do a reference. So it'll say for this second bullet point, if I scroll over this number 2, it'll tell me where in the recording this was discussed. I can then go to the recording at 3 minutes and 31 seconds and listen to it. Again, this is great time saving. I can quickly get to one of these things in the recording and then catch up. It'll also give me some action items. It'll give me some updates on projects that we talked about. Once it generates this information, I can copy it and put it in an email for a client and give them these notes as well. Let's see. This was a very long meeting, I could tell. There is a lot of stuff being discussed here. And then I can tell it right here, please draft me, and I won't push send. Please draft an email with these notes for me to send to my client. And what it'll do is it'll give me a subject line. It'll give me, an introduction. It'll dump all the stuff in there. I can copy it, put it in Outlook if I want to, and send the email that way. I like to use my Copilot in Teams and use the various apps here. Like I bring it all in here and then I just copy it out to my Outlook and Word and all that stuff. But I kind of live in Teams and Copilot. Okay, so Beju, do you want to go through your part of Copilot?
Sure.
I'll stop sharing.
And yeah, thanks for all the questions in the chat. I think I know a lot of you are in.
Oh. Yeah, I'll go in here and start answering some.
Oh, okay. I'm going to show, there's a couple of, there's just 3 quick videos that I want to show you. I'm assuming the sound will come, hang on one sec. I just want to make sure the sound will come through. I know a lot of us are in a lot of meetings every day, so this is a kind of a good time saving, kind of similar to what Monica was showing us. So just, I'll just narrate. So basically, the new version of Outlook has a follow button. So and this just recently came out. So you, instead of saying yes or no to a meeting, you can click follow. And so then on your calendar, it will show follow. And so once the meeting starts, the person will be advised that somebody wants to follow the meeting. And then when the meeting ends, and it's not instant, just so everybody knows, you'll get this recap notice. And it's kind of, you can ask very similar questions that Monica was saying, like, what were my action items? What were other people's action items? Give me a recap of the meeting in 200 words or something like that. So it's a pretty neat, powerful feature. When Copilot originally came out, they didn't have this available. It was just on the roadmap, but it came out about a month or month and a half ago. So it's definitely, it's just nice that you can kind of participate in a meeting that maybe you weren't there for. Just a couple of just Copilot kind of nuances. So Copilot is like an additionally licensed software from Microsoft. It doesn't come built into any sort of any program, just as an FYI. And then the other piece of it is for Copilot to work, you have to be the meeting organizer. So if you joined a meeting from someone else, you cannot click the Copilot button because it's a security issue where you would have the recording, or you would need to have access to the transcription of the recording of the meeting. So those are kind of the nuances of Copilot that you have to be aware of. So and I'll show this in Word in just a minute, but with Word, kind of similar to ChatGPT, I'm sure many of you use it, but it's just, the nice thing is it's built into Word. You can just, highlight it, click rewrite, and it's going to give you, a professionally written thing. It also can change things into tables. It can add columns for you. It can reorganize the table for you. So it's a really powerful feature where you can just kind of ask it questions about your document. You're not cutting and pasting from the internet browser to here. It's like all in one, which is what we really like about Copilot. And then the last thing, this is where I was kind of saying where you know, in Excel, it's when you see what it does, a lot of it is just, you know, Excel formulas. So if you're very good at Excel, it's not going to be very exciting. But if you're not that great at Excel, it's nice because you can kind of just ask it questions or ask it to do things. So, you know, with Copilot here, they're going to ask it to just, you know, analyze the sales results. And, you know, it's not giving, you're not giving it too much information, and it's just analyzing it based on its language model. It can even create like another sheet for you with a model on, you know, breaking down the sales by category. It can add color to it. You know, obviously, like I was saying, a lot of these things are something that are not that easy to do. And you can even do what if scenarios, which is pretty nice. You know, that Excel will create a model, kind of a playground for you to, you know, really being able to manipulate your numbers in a very quick and easy fashion, without being an Excel expert. So it's definitely very nice to do. So, okay, so that's kind of it with the videos, but like some of the things I like to show. So you can see I have this Copilot. It just gives me this prompt. Let me just look in the, I just want to, are there any people hiring for any positions, or I just kind of want to show like how it works for like maybe creating a job description or anything like that. So if you have any suggestions, or I can create something as well. But you know, I like to use it, you know, and so the nice thing, what I always tell people Copilot is good for, it's like getting you 70, 80, 90% of the way there. And then you put your special corporate spin on things. You know, you can obviously, you know, your benefits are going to be different. Your maybe qualifications or what you're looking for are different, but you know, it kind of gives you, what I like to use it for is just kind of a framework to start with. And like I was saying before, the nice thing is it gives it, it's all formatted with bullets and bold and all that stuff. So when you're you know, if you use ChatGPT, it's going to, and when you use ChatGPT on the web and you have to cut it and paste it into Word, sometimes not all the formatting works well, especially if you have tables and stuff like that. But you know, the other thing I like to use it for, let's do a new document, kind of in line with the hiring is, you know, okay, yeah. So I put a prompt in. I'm sorry, I was sharing the wrong thing. I put a prompt in just saying, you know, draft a job description for a commercial architect for mixed use properties. So you can see here, you know, it drafted a pretty nice job description, something you can use. And then what I was going to show you, especially for an HR person. So what's nice is it kind of gives you, so what we use this for a lot is, you know, we have our questions we would ask potential candidates. But this kind of gives you some additional things if the conversation gets slow, you at least have some questions you can present to the client, especially for first round interviews where it might not be a technical person interviewing the person. These are kind of good things to start with. And then the last thing I want to show you guys. Same thing in Outlook. It's very easy. You have this Copilot button, you know, draft with Copilot, you know, I always like to say, you know, draft, you know, so a very very simple prompt. And then, you know, it kind of drafts a nice professional email. You know, it gives you options to make it longer, shorter, more formal. So what we found in our firm is that, you know, maybe somebody is, you know, very good technically, but maybe they're not the best at writing, so this is a good way to allow them to come off as a very professional writer to the people they're working with. So those are kind of some nice features that Copilot has. But I'm gonna hand it over to Connor to kind of show you some more. I know these were all very Microsoft related. Connor has some additional things kind of more related to the architecture world, as well as some other AI technology things that he's been working with. So Connor, go ahead.
Thanks, Beju. Hi, my name is Connor. I'm an internal development at RightClick, and I've been pretty heavy into AI since it started back in 2020. So I'm really interested in the topic, and it's been very, very fun to see it grow and see kind of what it's kind of become and where it's going. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a background. Are you guys able to see? I believe. Yeah. Okay. So here's a bit of a timeline for AI. End of 2022, you have the OpenAI, first publicly available chat model, and really took the world by storm. And you have other companies developing their own foundational models, Google, Meta, Facebook, and the next year they became multimodal, which you maybe have heard that it's where they can process image and audio, and they became more able to do other tasks. And then now we're starting to see, as of the end of last year into this year, is more industries adapting to using these inside their own applications. So Autodesk has like a chat feature where you can ask questions, and it uses like a large language model to answer those questions. It picks up on some things you're doing. It may recommend macros. You may see this in your work. And that's just that natural movement towards putting these AI systems in applications we see. Copilot does this, it's using the AI from OpenAI inside of Microsoft. The next part, stage 4, is we're seeing, specific third-party companies build upon and add extra things that the large businesses like Autodesk and AutoCAD, they're focusing on keeping their business similar. And these companies are emerging as new add-ins to make those products better. So a couple I'll be showing today is Meshy. They do image to 3D modeling, which is really interesting. Enscape is a plugin that works directly inside of AutoCAD to render and do 3D renderings from your projects, which is really, really interesting. And then I'll show you a little bit on this stage 5, which is that idea, the holy grail of I can just kind of ask it something or type in some information, and I get a plan, I get a design output. We're pretty far away from that, and there's a lot of reasons that I'll kind of get into near the end of it. So I'm going to do a quick demo on this, and the key of the demo is we're going to show you Copilot a little bit and where it works well. This is that part 1 and 2 of AI. Meshy, this newer wave, you see it's pretty good. There's a little bit of flaws, and then that last stage 5, they're pretty far off as far as like a usable application, but it will get there. So let me go over to Copilot. I've got a sample floor plan, which looks like this. Just a basic, couple bedrooms, kitchen, living room. And so what I'm going to do is in Copilot, I'm going to go to my files and let me find that sample floor plan. And I just told it to review the floor plan and give me some insights on how it handles natural light and maybe where it could improve. So AI is pretty good about this. They can look at the image, they can go, I can see where natural light would be good here. The windows labeled in various rooms. These windows allow a lot of natural light. There's arched openings, which can help distribute the light from one room to another. And it tells you improvements, a few things, maybe a skylight, maybe open floor plan would be, and maybe reflective surfaces. So maybe some useful insight you can get into from Copilot. So that one, that works pretty well. When you look at the second portion, which is, this is one company, there's many that do other things like this, but Meshi is a really interesting company where you give it a 2D image, and within a few minutes, it generates a full 3D model. You can download this and drop it into your scene. And this could be really useful if you're trying to render out an image or a room and you have that object, you want to get into that, but you don't want to pay and get it 3D modeled. So you give it this 2D image. This is what I gave it. And it came out with this in a few minutes. So I've done, chandeliers, tables. It's not perfect. You can see maybe it gets some of the surfaces not quite right, but as far as a rough something to drop and use, it's very nice. And then the last one I'll show is the Make Tea. This one, you give it some dimensions of like bedroom sizing, bathrooms, kitchen, and you hit generate, and it'll take maybe 20 or 30 seconds. And what it's doing is it's combining possible orientations of, rooms and bathrooms, and it'll try and give you something. And so what I found is the door is right next to the bathroom. The front door walks into the bathroom. So if I look at this one, zoom in here, we got an entryway, and it's kind of leading right to a bathroom, two bathrooms right by the front door, so you can kind of see that, it weirdly places a bathroom. There's a 2-foot hallway for no reason to the right. It's a little comical as it doesn't quite understand, the nuance. There's a 4-foot bathroom behind a couch over here. So these, it's not there, but as it gets better, something like this is going to be possible. And then something to take this from here into a 3D rendering is going to be possible. So I just want to give you guys an idea of kind of where it's good right now, a couple of things that it's getting better at, and then where the idea is in the future, where it may get to. So that is the main portion there. And the last thing is this AI challenges. So design is complex. There's a lot of nuance, and there's a lot of human intervention of decision making that is really, really difficult for a large language model to do, for image generation to do, which is why I say it's farther off than other AI jobs or tasks. You're often interacting, and there's that interactive with your client that you have to do well, and an AI is not going to be able to have that connection and understanding the differences. And then lastly, regulatory compliance, things change every year, codes, building, and it takes a good understanding of those situations to be able to design and implement. And it's going to be a help for sure, but I think for the end goal of being able to just generate something off of a line of text, architecture and design is a bit of a hard one for AI. So I just wanted to highlight those, and then we wanted to have a Q&A. I know we've been answering a few questions throughout the presentation, but kind of an open forum if somebody wants to ask a question here. Meshi, I see in the chat, Meshi, you get to use, I believe, 10 prompts per month without charge. And then there's a few different, pricing options for usage. If anyone has any questions, they can put it in the chat on the side, and then we'll have Jim speak a little bit about the end. Floor plan app. Let me go back to it. So the floor plan was called MakeT.ai. And that's where you can give it some criteria, some conditions, and it'll make an attempt at creating. There's some other applications similar, like Planner 5D is another one I've looked into. Paid versions, yeah, definitely. I'll talk a little bit about that. Using a free version of ChatGPT or even the paid base version of ChatGPT, not enterprise, your data is not your data. You put it in there, you get an answer. It's really useful and convenient. But there's nothing stopping them from using that data to train ChatGPT 5 or another model, which if you put client sensitive, if you put sensitive company data, even though it's convenient to do, you're putting a risk out there. Somebody may be able to ask a question about something that only you know, or is something that's, something special internally. And you just give it out into this model, and now it's, anyone can answer that question. So that's the main risk of using a public, like OpenAI, ChatGPT. Yeah, exactly. Especially if you have a government contract, it's a big danger.
I think the one thing about Copilot as well as Gemini, the paid versions, it's kind of a walled fence or walled garden where all your data, like your teams and your files and your email, are all segregated from being loaded into the large language model. So none of your data will ever go out to the models, which is a good reason to use one of these paid versions. The other thing to be careful of is a user may have access to something that they should not. So you always want to make sure you're securing your files properly, because whereas the user may not be able to find it, Copilot does have access to that. So it could, if you ask it a question, it may pull data from that file. So that's just something to be aware of.
I see your question about rendering. If you're speaking about, like, if you want to take a take a floor plan and have it create a rendering from like a floor plan, if that's your question. There are a few companies that do something like that. Again, they're very early stage companies that are experimenting with the process. What often you find is a wall is sideways or intersecting in a weird orientation, because it's very difficult to have a machine learning model or a large language model accurately create 3D objects versus we're more in the 2D image generation phase of AI. And as Isabel mentioned, we also do a lot of custom in-house and external development. So if you have a project, if you have an idea and you want to really hash it out and see if it's possible, we'd love to set up a meeting. We can help you kind of go through those ideas you have. That's actually my favorite part. Is really finding a fun and hard problem and making something great.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, Connor. I'll touch on just a couple cybersecurity aspects here. So if there's anything that we'd like everyone to really get out of this meeting before I get deeper into cybersecurity, it's to realize that the bar has really been lowered for you to develop custom applications. Previously, if you want to make an internal application to improve the productivity of your business, this would be an expensive endeavor. And what we usually see in architecture businesses when they have custom applications, it's based on a Microsoft Access system or a simple Microsoft SQL database. And these applications are things to automate your business process. Currently now, with the state of the AI tools, is you can appoint someone in your business that is somewhat technical, but the ideal knowledge of this person is more knowledge of how the business runs, about what your customers' needs are, what the needs are, and you can develop an internal application. The application is developed more with communicating with the AI and less with actual coding. And what Connor is saying is there's companies like us that can help you develop this, but you might have the technical resources in-house. This is really where you're getting a little bit more control in-house now, because when you have an outside IT provider, a company like RightClick, we're more helping with these open tools that have been hashed out already, like with Microsoft, with Google, but we don't understand your business like you guys do. And so now, like, you can appoint someone that really understands your business and help realize some type of productivity optimization. The maturity of the tools today is you're going to see this more with things to help your workflow, not as much as the design. Like Connor showed that design example to see, like, this is what's happening. It's good to stay up with these tools, but it's moving fast. So next year, there's probably going to be a lot more of the design tool. But today it's more for the productivity side. Now, when we get into the cybersecurity area, what I really emphasize is this difference between the paid and the unpaid tools. Now, if you develop your own application, Meta has been the primary developer of this. They have open source AI that you can use inside your business. And this is inside your firewall, it's inside your network. It's entirely yours. That's a very secure way to go. Another way is to use the Microsoft or the Google solution as part of your paid subscription. And then that is nice because it's tied into all your productivity tools. So those are very valid ways to work. When we talked about if you're working with anything with government contract, or not even necessarily government, but things, a commercial contract, there's usually cybersecurity language in there. And the AI tool will generally have read access to everything. So remembering that, and this goes back to like an acceptable use policy in your business. Make sure the end users understand this is the tool we use. And we're seeing better security if you have that tool available for your staff. So rather, if you make no AI tool available for them, they're going to go out and use the free tools. And this is what you don't want to have happening. So this is really, it's more managed around policy and discussion with your staff. And by using this, like, you should realize like big productivity changes. So, and these apps are not developed in years. This is where we're talking like a few months to progress here.
Before we wrap up, the last kind of slide in the presentation I will share just to kind of full circle what we've been talking about today. There's been some asks for follow-up, and we'll send through the presentation along with some of our referrals. Sounds like there's some interest in maybe deploying AI internally. This last slide here is kind of normally when people come in with interest, these are some of the things we can do. Or if you wanted to just focus on AI, we could have a meeting like that. But with that being said, if there's no more questions, I think we got to most of them. We can send you on your way and give you some time back in your day. Okay, everyone, thanks so much for joining, and thanks so much for AIOC for putting this all together. We'll be in contact with some email follow-up. Enjoy the
Thank
rest of
you.
your day.
Excellent program as always.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.